I spoke about this on your podcast, and I kind of wanted to talk about it more on here. The Cleveland Cavaliers, we are doing absolutely fantastic. Like
Yes, we are.
It is stunning, but I still feel like even though we're doing above average, it'd still be really cool to look on a couple things that I think, we can fix or, some players to bring in. And I've got two, and here's the one that we talked about on your podcast. And I wanted to get, your thoughts and opinions on it, maybe a possible trade scenario with it. But of course, Brandon Ingram, I've been saying this for a while, and I think you made a video on it. Brandon Ingram is possibly the most perfect player the Cavaliers could go out and get right now. He's a small forward that we desperately need. Shot creator that can come in and average you 20 points per game. Can be your number one leader while still making sure that Darius Garland, stays doing what he's doing. I don't think he would take away from Garland's performance. I just think if there's an all-star to go out and get, Brandon Ingram is the guy. So I just wanted to get your thoughts and opinions on that.
I would agree. If that's your number one candidate for Brandon Ingram, I think a lot of Cleveland fans would agree. Because I think, like you said, I don't think Brandon Ingram truly gets in the way of Garland. I think he's the type of player that will complement Darius Garland perfectly. Because Darius Garland, he's a passer. Like, he really, he can shoot the ball, he can score. But his first instinct is really to give up the ball, which, with a player like Brandon Ingram, who you can tell he wants to be a franchise player, is just not in his benefit to do it in New Orleans. But yeah, I would agree with you. I think Ingram would be a great candidate. Maybe Cam on a lesser degree, but I do think Brandon Ingram will be go-to.
I think as well, when I look at the Pelicans, they are pretty trash right now. Like, that's the obvious thing. And it's clear that Brandon Ingram is their best player. In my opinion, I think he's their best player. But I think it's pretty obvious that New Orleans have a very different opinion. I think they definitely rate Zion well above him. And I don't think that sits well with Brandon Ingram at all. So
do you think he's better than Valanciunas?
Do I think Ingram's better than Valanciunas? Yeah, I do. I do think he's better than... I love Valanciunas. I think he's one of the most underrated players in the game. He's been one of the most underrated for so long. Like, I think it was a huge W they were able to get him from Memphis. But I do think Brandon Ingram is better. But I don't think Brandon Ingram is really playing to the best of his ability right now. And I don't know. I just feel like you can tell by even the way you watch him, it doesn't feel like he's putting his best effort in. And I just don't think... I have a feeling he doesn't really want to be in New Orleans right now. So that's where I think the Cavaliers should come in and swoop. But maybe that's just me. I think he doesn't want to be in New Orleans right now. They've put Zion ahead of him multiple times. And they're not winning. They're not doing too good. It doesn't seem like he has the attitude over there. So, I don't know. I definitely think we should trade for Brandon Ingram. But what do you think we would have to give up to, get this deal done?
Now, that's that a lot of people on my channel have been asking me too. At this point, I think we would have to give up Seti for sure. I think Colin Sexton would also be another player they would want. The only problem with that is, though, I think they might wait closer to the off season to see where Colin Sexton health-wise stands, right? Because right now, they're in a situation because it just came out. Zion might miss more time now because of foot soreness or ankle soreness. Or something.
I think his rehab's been delayed too. Something like that. So right now, and David Griffin is under a lot of fire because people feel like he should not have traded Lonzo. Now Lonzo's hooping. Shouldn't have traded Drew Holiday. Drew Holiday won a championship, and people is arguing that Drew Holiday is a very underrated point guard, which he's been for a countless amount of years. And then people don't think the assets you got back in Graham has really filled that void. Now, like you said, Valanciunas was a huge steal, right? I think he complements the team better than Adams because he shoots drastically better. Yep.
But right now, you have a team that, for a lot of if this was in the East, this would have been a playoff contender for sure. This would probably be a honestly maybe a 7th or 6th seed in the East. And to be honest, in the West, this probably should be an 8th or 7th seed in the West too. But they're not looking really competitive. So I think So I think a realistic trade value would probably be closer to the trade deadline. If it's the Cavs, they probably have to give up Cedi Osman, Colin, and maybe 1 or 2 first rounders.
Yeah.
For Ingram.
Well, I think the thing was too, when Zion got injured, I think David Griffin, I actually kind of feel bad for him because there was the rumor in the offseason that the reason they actually let Lonzo go was because they wanted Zion to run like a very different style this year. Apparently he was going to run a lot of point forward. So basically they brought in Devontae Graham because Devontae Graham can actually play a little bit of off-ball. Like he has done it with Terry Rozier. I think he's done all right with it. In my opinion, he's more of a 6-man though. I don't know why they brought him in to start. But then you got Valanciunas, who's there, who they brought in to be a really good floor spacer. They brought in, what's his name? Whoever they drafted this year, I forgot his name, but he's a really good, like, 3-point shooter. They brought him in to come in and bring threes. I really can't remember his name. I don't know why. Oh, Trey Murphy. I think that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they brought him in to be a really good, 3-point shooter, a floor spacer. So, hey, if Brandon Ingram wants to go and they get Zion back to his best, and you bring in like Cedi Osman or Colin Sexton, that means Colin Sexton can therefore start at point guard. Then you bring Graham off the bench, and Cedi Osman, dude, he's scoring like 42% from 3 this season. He would be great with Zion, I think. Yeah. And then you're looking at a really interesting team. Like you got a big 3 of Colin Sexton, Zion, and Valanciunas, and then you've got floor spacers like Trey Murphy, Cedi Osman, and then still depth off the bench with Josh Hart and Devontae Graham. It could actually be a win-win situation for both teams, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I agree. Because and it kind of made me, when you said earlier, because I wanted to go back on that too. Like when you said you kind of wondered why they have Devontae Graham in the starting rotation. I think it's kind of because they don't really trust Nickel yet, shooting wise.
Yeah.
And I think that was a bigger reason why they traded Zoe as well, or was willing to let him go, because I think they feared if Lonzo would be consistent next season shooting wise. Because I think the thing about Lonzo, right? The thing about Zion is if you wanted to have him play the point forward, point guard type style, like let's say like a LeBron James, right? Everybody else has to shoot the ball, right? And which is why they instantly traded Adams, because they figured if Zion is going straight to the paint, he needs people to kick it out to, which is why Valanciunas was key. Brandon Ingram improving on his shot was key. And I think that's why Devontae Graham instantly started, because they wanted to see how efficient he would be.
Yep.
In that position. Now Josh Hart has been playing pretty decent as well too. So I think that is an option. You get that's the point I'm trying to make. That is an option for them. Now for, like I said, with Colin Sexton, if that trade would be happening, he would have to improve on his shooting. Which may be the problem, and also the question of him being an off-ball guard, which might be a question too. Because right now, I think with Cleveland, to an extent, has exposed him a little bit, because so far in the beginning of the season, and I think you might have said this the last time we was on a podcast, but you was like, if you really look at the scheme we're running offensively, we're passing it a lot more, right? Yeah. And because Colin Sexton is not dribble, ISO, his efficiency has dropped from the games he played. So I think right now that might hesitate him possibly, but he would have to improve on that if the Pelicans even thought of him as a trade option.
You know what I think too? The reason I think it makes more sense for Sexton to be on the Pelicans than the Cavaliers is because if Sexton was the second option to be like the second shot creator or something like that, on the Pelicans, I think that would work because he still gets to guard the point guard position. But as the second option on the Cavs, he has to guard the shooting guard position, which I just don't think he's necessarily fully capable of doing. Not just that, I think if the Pelicans, if they do run Zion as the point forward, and he's not having like a good game and they need someone to step up and make shots, then you've got Colin Sexton who's right there that can definitely come and do it. And some people might say, well, they could just do that with Brandon Ingram though. The other thing with Brandon Ingram too is I don't think this new game plan or system really even sat well with him from the start, because when he signed there, it was kind of like, well, the ball was going to be run through him and Zion, right? It seems like now that the Pelicans, they want to run Zion as the point forward, the ball would be focusedly run through Zion, and it would be more like, well, if Zion's having a bad game, then we need you to step up Ingram, not necessarily both of them being, the driving factor from the get-go. It would always be Ingram would be number 2 to Zion. I think with Sexton, I think that actually wouldn't sit exactly too bad with him. I definitely feel like it would sit better with him than what maybe Brandon Ingram. Because, Sexton, therefore, if we got to the Pelicans, would be able to guard the 1 instead of the 2. So I still feel like, I reckon this trade should go through, but I'm agreeing with you. I don't think it's going to go down to potentially till the end of the season because, I just have a feeling there's no way the Pelicans will be ready to trade for Sexton yet, especially if they're, playing pretty bad right now. And it's kind of just like, well, there's no rush, right? There's no rush. The Cavaliers are not in a rush right now. Wherever we finish, if we make the play-in, that's a positive, right? So, I don't think we're in a rush, and I don't necessarily think they are too much in a rush because I feel like David Griffin, no matter what happens, I have a feeling he'll get 1 more year because I still feel like he's built this team relatively all right. It's just he's run into some bad luck, and the coaching decisions he's made has been... I think he's hired some pretty bad coaches along the way, so... Yeah, I still think we'll get 1 more year, to be honest.
I guess that's where I agree but disagree. I agree with, like you said, he might get 1 more year. I just don't feel like a lot of his decisions was wrong, especially with coaching, right? I do think he shouldn't have fired Alvin Gentry, but I don't think Stan Van Gundy really was that bad. And the reason why is because when you and I know that might be a tough take, but because at this point I really was kind of surfacing on some of the New Orleans games. Like, if you really look at that, Lonzo Ball had his most efficient year with him not being an off-ball guard, right? Yes, he wanted Lonzo to, play make, to create, but Zion is just the only reason it didn't truly work is because Lonzo kept getting hurt, kind of, and then Zion was getting hurt a little bit, and then Ingram, and then they just the chemistry just wasn't sticking, right? Because the team wasn't there, right? But I think from a efficient standpoint, they was quite efficient, and Zion was technically already playing the point forward too. So I think to a degree, he actually gave them the formula, but he also showed you the formula only works if Zion on the floor.
Yeah.
Right. So I think David Griffin so far, I think honestly, so far, I would give him a B+ so far, because every move he realized he had to do, he made it. The only thing I would question, the reason why I would give him the B+ is really because I don't think he should have traded Lonzo.
Yeah.
I think he took the criticism of that too high, and I think that may have cost him. I can see why he traded Drew Holiday from an age standpoint, a money standpoint.
Yeah,
Lonzo,
and 3 first-round picks.
Yeah.
Through the wastelands, through the